y'all.
Welcome back to Talk Spicy to Me. We have a special guest with us today for our author. It is Brit Benson. So thank you so much, Brit, for joining us.
Yay!
Hi, friends.
So we're just going to get right into it. So, Brit, tell us about yourself and your books.
Okay. Well, I'm Brit. I am new. I'm a baby author. I published my first book in July last year, so we're coming up on my 1 year pubiversary.
Yay!
And it was Love You Better. I have it right here. Ready?
So pretty.
So I published my first book in July of last year, and I've since published 2 more. My most recent just came out.
And
on
I'm obsessed with
Monday.
I'm obsessed with
Right.
So
Monday.
freaking good. Oh my God.
And they are contemporary new adult. I would even argue that my most recent is new adult and somewhat bridging into contemporary adult, maybe a little bit
I have an
women's
art
lit
copy.
even.
How do I get an art copy?
Yeah, these are my proofs.
I know I love art
I want
copies.
an art copy. They're
I love
so
those.
cool.
I'm still waiting for my author copies. Bree knows. I'm supposed to send them some their beta copies, and the ones that Barnes and Noble sent me are all jacked up, and I've been not very nicely emailing them, and so she's still waiting, but you'll get it eventually.
It's okay. It's really pretty.
But yeah, so that's it. Contemporary new adult.
It
3
is.
books. I'm currently working on one that it's just also contemporary new adult. But I'm hoping it'll be out in August, but that probably won't happen. Let's be real. So maybe late August, early September. And yeah,
So
that's about it.
Nothing Feels Better just came out. How does it feel to have that third book out?
Nothing feels better than releasing my third book. You guys, if you've read my books, you know how much I love a title drop.
Unintended.
In there, confetti. There
Right.
you go. It feels really good. It's weird because with my first book, I didn't even want people to read it. I was publishing it and I was like, please don't read it. If you read it, don't tell me you read it. I don't want to know, But on the flip side, I was also like, please be honest. But then I was like, please don't tell me.
Don't hurt my feelings.
Yeah. But with this one, it was done and I just wanted it out. I wanted people to read it. I wanted it out there. I couldn't wait. If I wouldn't have set up a pre-order, I probably would have sent it live release way earlier just because I wanted it to be in people's hands, and it's so exciting. So it feels good. Yeah.
I absolutely
it's
love
real.
it. And I need to
Oh my
ask, what was your inspiration for Jude and June?
So it initially, it's kind of weird. So I have 4-year-olds. So Jude is basically one of my kids.
Oh my God.
Literally, I just basically wrote her into the story. And growing up, my mom was a single mom until I was probably around 8 or 9. And my brother was actually 2 years younger than me, but it was him and I and my mom. So that's kind of I got the framework from just my own experience and put it in there. But yeah, June just kind of evolved. She's one of the characters that I love the most out of that book. And there was one scene in particular that I kind of met her first, was the scene in the bedroom before they go out to the lake.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, that was the first scene I knew of her in my head. And so she just kind of was molding clay as I wrote the story. But Jude was easy. He's basically my child.
I loved him from the it might have been the third page where
so
he
funny.
stabs Jesse with the sword. And I was
With the cardboard sword.
I couldn't get over it. I was so enamored with this child. I was you made the book. So, and then Drew,
He was so cute.
just the way that Jesse went about getting her to come out of her shell. And, you know, knowing what it's like to have children and then have adults who don't have their own children, befriend them. It takes a special kind of person. And you portrayed that so well in this book. I was completely blown away.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the bond that he formed with the kids. I literally texted him and I was like, Y'all, I'm crying on this plane right now. I'm in the middle seat in between these two people, and I'm like, like, it was just, it brought tears to my eyes. Like, I loved it. Like, oh my God.
Jazz is our crier, and Brie is not a crier at all. Her tears.
I'm a crier. So me and you, Jazz, we can be crybabies together.
Yes.
I'm a crier. Well, it's funny because with Jesse, like, I left him. I put Bailey and Riggs first because I was like, I just knew people were going to love Jesse. And I wanted a story that was going to do him justice. And it was funny because he's just this like big, lovable guy who has love for everyone and so much love to spare. And like randomly in the middle of writing Better With You, book 2, I was like, Jesse needs to be a stepdaddy. Like he needs to be a stepdaddy, you know, like he needs to, because he's that guy that like steps up and like has this love for like kids and people. And so that was, I was like, he has too much love for just one person. Like
it was perfect.
He needs an Insta family.
It was perfect.
You know, it seriously was like, like magic.
I love seeing that evolve. That just in general, him evolving too from book 1 and then book 2, and then even the growth that he had from the beginning to the end in book 3. I was just like, is this the same guy who was knitting like little baby hats and everything in the beginning? Like it was just so perfect.
He like knitted Bailey the little cupcake.
I remember texting Brie and I was like, wait a minute, this man is knitting hats. What? Like I was just I'm gonna go back to this because I can knit, but it takes a real strong section of my brain to work to remember how to do that. So, and he's just good at that. And he's in med school. And I'm like, why am I not this kind of human? I don't understand.
He has a 160 IQ.
Yes,
so
that is not
me. Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah.
And then my other question that I had, and trigger warnings and spoilers for anybody, because we're not going to, put this out there, just don't spoil, but I needed to know, was it hard writing a domestic violence scene? And how did you go about that?
So I kind of had to write it in layers. Mm-hmm. And Brie, did you read one of the early scenes where you like, this might need more? Was that you?
I think so. Maybe some more to like.
I had to write it in layers because it was like, I don't know. It was kind of hard. I didn't know that it was. I didn't expect it to be this hard. That it was like at that point, Jocelyn is like, she's one of my babies now, and so it was like I'm writing this scene to like put her through this stuff, and it's like I had to come back to it. I had to write it, and then I had to step away and write some other stuff, and then I had to come back and read it again because and work on it some more because I wanted to write a scene that also like just did the whole issue justice.
Yes.
Because you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to paint it over and use it as like, sorry, there's a cattail. I thought it was a snake.
Downstairs.
Did you see me jump? I thought it was a snake.
I have those. They're downstairs. They don't come upstairs.
Okay, sorry. Hi, Kitty. Sorry. But I wanted to, I didn't want to just throw it in there as like some sort of like plot device. Like and I needed it to do it justice. And it was very difficult. Because I don't know. I didn't like doing that to Jocelyn, my baby. Like she's been through so much shit. And here I have to like, write this scene that like kind of tore me up. But yeah, I had to come back to it. And then even after because I'd come back to it. And then even after, like I'm pretty sure it was you, Brie, who was like, this might need a little more. Because like, you want, if you're going to put something like that in a book, like, I don't know, it's something that needs to be finessed and needs to be done well. And it needs to be, kind of like handled with care, but also it needs to be authentic. Otherwise, somebody who's been through that, which unfortunately so many women have, I just didn't want it to be, I put the trigger warning so that people knew and were prepared. And if it was something they wanted to skip, then they could skip it. Right. Mm-hmm. But I also just didn't want to write something that was like, just so blatantly like inauthentic that like anybody who'd experienced that read it and was like, well, this is
It was
kind of like a
very
spit in the
real.
face of
It
something
was
that I'd been through.
very
Does that make
real.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reading it, and even just knowing people who have been through like emotional violence and stuff like that. That's what really, a lot of it was just emotionally and like speaking to somebody like in a way that they feel they need to or deserve that when they don't, or they're just not strong enough to fight back sometimes. It was very real off the page for me. So I just needed to know like how you went about that, because not everybody can portray it as well as you did. So,
well, and I feel like in order to get that, like, this is very much, I think I don't know if you guys read the, my like author's note in the back, but like this started as Jesse's book, but like it ended up being Joss's book more. And for me anyway, because like it was just her, like this like triumphant story of her like personal growth and kind of like her taking back her life and her autonomy and her independence and kind of like, you know, building from the ground up the self-confidence that she never really had, you know? So
and
in
it's
order
funny
to like,
that you, oh, sorry. I was going to say, it's funny that you say that because I literally wrote that in my review. I was like, it was honestly 2 love stories in one. It was Joss and Jesse's love story, but it was also her love story, like falling back in love with herself, rediscovering herself. And I really like that. And one of the things that you mentioned, which I personally know some people who've been through it. Like she didn't even, you mentioned the part about her, like talking with her therapist, she didn't even realize like she was being abused because like Heather, you mentioned it, like it's so many different forms, like mental, emotional, that sometimes people don't put those in with the physical. And so she was like, no, he's only been like, verbally mean and things like that. But it was like, no, that's abuse. And so even her still discovering like she's actually been abused. Like I love everything about her journey. And yeah, you did an amazing job with it.
Thank you.
I think from the very beginning, her making that note that she wanted to become a full person, I was just like, oh, like who hurt you? What happened in your life that you already don't feel that way? And just like you said, Jazz, her having this journey from start to finish and her actually finding herself and, not necessarily needing that physical list, but just being able to mentally check off, like, you know what, I am safe and I'm happy and I'm in love with who I am. Mm-hmm. Oh, I loved it. I loved that so much.
Yeah. Thanks, even just like the small things, like that you don't even think about every day. Like the fact that she was like, I don't even know what music I like. Yeah. And that's something I noticed with some of my friends who are moms, like that's all they are. They're moms. And not to say anything that's wrong with that, but I think sometimes moms forget that they're women too. Mm-hmm. And there's other needs that you have outside of making sure that your kids have needs. Like that's even something like I've noticed with my mom too, because she was a single mom. So she spent the majority of her life only focusing on us and just being a mom. And as I got older, like now that's why I'm so happy to see her like traveling and going out and doing things, because she didn't do that. Yeah. All she was just a mom. And now she's like discovering like, I'm a woman too, I like going out and having fun. I like doing things and just focusing on just me. And there's nothing wrong with that.
We have a very different experience because I was a only child to a single mom. I am the second coming of Christ. My mom's not allowed to go out and find happiness. No. Immaculate conception. My mom doesn't know nothing about that. You stop here.
I think that part of Jocelyn's journey, I drew a lot of personal experience from that too, because I have my kids and I was kind of dealt like a huge surprise with them. And so it just kind of really changed the trajectory of my life, like really quickly. It was like, you're going one way and you think everything's going to be a certain way. And then it's like, bam, asteroid off in a different direction, And so it's like everything that I thought I'd known about myself had completely changed. Like it was one of the reasons why I got into Bookstagram to begin with, was because I was like, I had a career, I had friends, I had a life. And now we have moved into this town where I know no one. I am a stay-at-home mom with infants. I have no job. I have no nothing. Like, who even am I anymore? And I was like severely sleep deprived. So that was part 2. And it's like part of that whole like learning how to balance like the momness without losing your like you-ness.
It's so hard. Right. It's so hard.
It is. Yeah. And so like I just kind of took a lot of my feelings and put this in here. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of like my mom, like I said, was a single mom, and she, I drew a lot of her experience. I don't want to get like, but I drew a lot of her experience and my experience growing up with her, in these situations, and used those as inspiration too, just to kind of like build off of.
Which is probably why I connected with it so much, because it was real.
I feel like I forget where I was going. Doing that, building off that. Yeah.
That's how I felt together.
It was definitely real, and I connected with her based on how I grew up. Because you're right, you know, as a single mother, it's you focus on your children, and you lose who you are because you're so focused on that. But as that child, when you do it well, you don't realize that you're missing anything. So, you know, it definitely came across how she focused on her children first, but finding herself it was coming up as well. And she learned that she needed to put herself first for some things, and she needed to accept that people wanted to put her first. So,
well, and I think part of it too is like, there's a conversation that happens in there where, it's like, you know, those early years are the hardest. You kind of lose who you are. And in a way that's necessary, right? Like it's just how it works, and it's necessary. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, because for a period of time, you know, you do like, you have to keep these things alive. Like, you know what I mean? But she wasn't just dealing. Yeah. She wasn't just dealing with that. Like it was that on top of this abusive relationship that, you know, kept her so stifled and so isolated that it's like, it wasn't just that she was like losing who she was before kids. It was that she was getting to a point where her kids were, you know, Jude's going to go to school next year. And she's like, I never had a chance to even develop who I am without kids, without my ex-husband. Like, who even am I? What do I even like? I don't even know, you know? And so it wasn't, I mean, like finding herself as an individual outside of being a mom, but just finding herself as an individual, as a woman, you know, who's not being, you know, held under the thumb of that toxic relationship. And so it was kind of like a double whammy of growth, I guess. But yeah.
So you talked a little bit about what you're currently working on. Are you allowed to like divulge into a little bit more of that?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been harder for me to write. It's gonna end up being a duet. I didn't want it to be a duet, but it is. And so it's gonna be, I really love time jumps. I love time jumps in duets. And so there's going to be one of those, fair warning. Because I really feel like it's the best way to see complete growth in a character. So it starts, book one is best friend's brother.
Ooh,
and it starts in high school. And the brother is he's not a good boy. He's a bad boy.
Oh, more right.
Yeah, and it's pretty angsty, and it's kind of hard for me because, like, it's funny because one of my favorite things to read is, like, bully romance. Like, I want my heroes to be, like, complete assholes when I read these books, you know? I was like, one of my comfort emotions, and this can be, I mean, let's not read too far into this, but one of my comfort emotions is anger. You know? It's like, if I want to comfort read, I'll go for like bully romance, because I'm like, I want to, like, I'm comfortable being pissed off.
Yes,
and, like,
I need that on a shirt. My comfort emotion is anger.
It is. And then so it's like, that's where, so I like to read that, and I love like that angst, but but it's so funny because like I am very like feminist, and so it's kind of hard for me to get into the head of an asshole boy, you know what I mean? Because in my mind, like, I love reading about it, but I'm trying to write this character, and I'm like,
oh. Right, so you're like, yeah, you have to remember, like
you know,
that is why
and it's like,
I never be an author right there, because mentally I would write the asshole, and then the girl would be like, and I'm going to stab you now because you're stupid. Like,
yeah, that's why one of my favorite talking about stabby heroines, Jay Bree's Hannaford Prep series
Yes.
I love her.
You introduced me to that series, and I'm hooked. Mm-hmm.
And Bree's just been passing it along.
Yes, because she was the reason that we read it.
Well, I think I think I ended up telling you about it because we were talking about how much we love like stabby heroines. I feel like that's exactly the adjective we used too. It was like, we want heroines who are stabby.
It was like a whole thing. Like, 'cause I just love nothing more than a stabby heroine, and I mean like a literal, like I will stab you with a knife if you keep this up.
Yeah. And so like I love reading stuff like that, but I'm finding that it was a lot harder to write just because I want to smack my hero silly right away. And it's like, if I want the growth that I want, and I want this angst, and I want to like write a worthy plot, like she can't just go smacking him around right away.
Right.
You know? And plus that's not my heroine right off the bat. She's very timid, and she's very much a people pleaser, and you know, and so she's not she's a grin and bear it, like everybody's wonderful kind of person at first. And that's been hard for me because I just want her to be like.
So would you say it's going to be dark?
She can't yet. What?
Is it going to be a dark romance?
No, I wouldn't call it dark. I don't think I'm ready to branch into that yet. But it's definitely angstier. I would call the Better Love series pretty fluffy as far as angst goes, you know, heartstrings and emotional possibly, but there's not a whole lot of angst. And this one is dipping my toe in the angst world. We'll see how it works. I don't know.
So
I'm pretty excited for it. I'm excited. I am. Like my Pinterest board is like banging, and my playlist is already pretty good. So
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot too.
Right. I'm excited. I am excited. In fact, I was talking to my husband. I was like, I feel like my release for Nothing Feels Better went really, really well, and I had these moments where I'm like, I feel like I might kind of sort of be getting the hang of this a little bit, like a little bit more footing. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to have the death grip on like the authorship right now. I'm not going to fall to my death. I can loosen it a little bit, but I feel like with this next one, I feel like it's, I don't even want to say it because then I'll jinx myself. Knock on wood. I feel like it's going to be the best, you know?
Yeah.
Each one just gets better and better. Like, I love.
That's how I started my review.
Yeah.
Brit Benson just keeps getting better.
Literally. Like, I just remember reading, I feel like it was even just meeting Riggs in, we met him in the first book, right?
No, Riggs wasn't. No, we heard about Riggs. We heard about it. Okay.
Well, Bailey in general, Bailey and Riggs, but like meeting them, oh my gosh, I knew that I was going to love her, and they were like my top. And then I read Jesse's book, and I'm just like,
right?
Okay, how did she top this?
Because I freaking love Riggs, and I was like, look, I don't know who's coming in the future, but ain't nobody gonna top my boo Riggs. And then I finished Jesse's book, and I'm like, well, I spoke too soon.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine Riggs and Jesse having a conversation? Like, if they were to listen to this podcast, they'd be like, wouldn't it be funny? One of my favorite things about writing Nothing Feels Better was like Jesse's interactions with Riggs and Bailey.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yes.
I wanted him to find out that they did it on the couch.
I know. I was waiting for
that. He's like she would literally, well, Bailey would literally, she would hurt him. Like, she would probably make him pull the couch out and light it on fire. Like, you know.
I want Xavier. That's his name, right? I want.
Yeah.
Zay's book he's getting a book, and I already know it, and it's gonna.
When I saw more books were coming, I was like, okay, one definitely has to be Zay's, because you dropped like a little nugget where it was like, oh, he got some stuff going on, and that was it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. He's coming in. He'll probably be the first book I release next year.
Oh.
But I had this duet plot in my head, and it just wouldn't shut up. So I was like, I gotta take a break and write this other book. But Zay's coming next year, and Talia is getting a book. Talia is, if you guys remember, Riggs's friend.
Yes.
childhood friend. I don't want to like do any spoilers.
Yeah, because I was wondering. I was like, okay, who else book is coming? I was like, I was like, are we gonna come back to Dylan? I know he made the, made the drafts or whatever. We go. Is he gonna get a book?
No, nah. Dylan, he's done. He's done. In fact, the only reason he was in book 3 was so that I could have the party excuse. Otherwise, no, it's gonna be Faye, and then it's gonna be Talia, and Talia is I'm very excited for her book, but it's pretty risky, so I'm putting it later in the second. One of the things that everybody tells you when you start writing is like to be smart about it. You want to, don't like people tell you like stay in your lane, so to speak, right? Like don't go if you want to like have an author footing and like get people who like want to read you, like stay in somewhat of a lane. Like you can't go like contemporary first book and then like RH fantasy next book, because then like your readers are like you can do that, but you need to like get the respect and the like trust of readers first, is what people tell you. I was like, okay, that's fine. That's what I'm doing. But Talia is a little bit riskier, and I feel like it'd probably be fine, but I also have to build up my own, I don't know, like writing ability and like my own courage before I write her book and put it out in the world, because it's just.
And reason number 8,565 of why I can't be an author, because I'd be like, sorry,
like trying to think of all those plots and saying and doing this and doing and remembering the rules. Like they'd be like, Jasmine, she doesn't know what she wants to write. Like I don't.
Well, and that, I mean, like people do that and then they do it fine and they do it well, but I just felt like I wouldn't be one that could do it fine and do it well. You know what I mean? No. And I also I'm kind of like Jessie in a way where I hyper focus on something. Like I'm a marathoner. I can't not marathon. If I start a series, like a Netflix series, I got to watch it
the whole way through,
all through. Because if I even finish watching it and then not step away for a couple of days, it's like out of sight, out of mind, and then I stop caring about it, and I'll never finish it again. And so like I can't really. I'm not, but I'm a Cancer Sun Taurus Moon. But yeah, so like I was like, I just don't think that I would do well, like if I allowed myself to be sporadic with the authoring. I would be sporadic. I would probably never finish a book. You know what I mean? So I was like, this is good advice for me. Like, focus on one thing and get what you can out of that, and then dip your toe in other ponds.
You'd be like, is it Joe or Frank the squirrel? What'd you name the squirrel in the book?
Frank
the squirrel.
Frank the squirrel.
I still think he needs a sticker, but yeah, Frank the squirrel.
I know. Look, let me tell you, I wasted so many hours trying to make a Frank the squirrel sticker, but I'm not that talented yet.
I want a Frank the squirrel sticker.
Right? I need like anytime, because I have squirrel moments all the time where I'm just like,
daily,
and this direction and that direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Daily. I have squirrel like
squirrel and feed the cat.
Too, like randomly, like if I get hungry, it's like hangry, and they know, because I'll like just spit out some like random mean shit, and I'm like, my bad. Like that was
your face said it. You didn't have to say anything. Your face said it. Like we were still talking, and like on my peripheral, like this was at Indies. I just like saw Heather's face. So I was like, y'all, we might want to wrap this up.
We need to feed her.
Yeah, her hanger is coming out. This is a dangerous time.
She had me this day to think her face was like, if y'all don't feed me, it's about to be over
in the pocket.
My face doesn't get the be nice memo. Okay.
I was like, and I thought my hangry was bad, but
the resting really wants
let's feed her.
Everybody. But sometimes my resting bitch face, she's a great gay cunt, and I just can't help that. Like I didn't mean to say fuck you, but she did. No, it's not my fault.
I didn't mean it.
Food is my love language. Next to
I'm sorry for what I said when I was hangry, and then your face is like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Right. I'm really not though.
Like I need to eat every 2 hours. If you don't eat me, it's like Gremlins and.
I love Gremlins though. That's a really good movie reference.
Yes. Like after midnight, water, just
don't do it. Yeah.
All right, Britt, what was the favorite book that you've written so far?
I still think Better With You is my favorite. I love Nothing Feels Better. I really do. And poor Love You Better is like my little redheaded stepchild.
But I love that. It's the start.
I love Love You Better.
Yeah.
But like Better With You was like the easiest one so far to write. It was so easy to write. And it was more fun to write, except for like that whole chapter towards the end that just made me sob for weeks straight.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like,
was bad.
That was bad.
But like, so Better With You, like, just from like the author perspective, is probably my favorite because it was the easiest and the funnest. You know, like with Love You Better, I was like racked full of like fear and imposter syndrome, and like I was terrified. But with Better With You, it was like came right out, super fast, super easy. And then I struggled with Nothing Feels Better to like write it.
Really?
I like had the hardest time grasping Jesse, first of all, to like get that fucker to focus. And then it was hard for me. Like I had to write Jocelyn in layers because it was just emotionally difficult to like go there, you know? Yeah. So yeah, I think Nothing Feels Better is the best structurally from like a structure point of view. Like, I like finished it, and I think I don't even know if this was either I told Brie or not. I was like, dude, I'm so proud of my pacing in this book. Like my pacing is fucking on point. Like good job me with the pacing.
You messaged me that, and I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right.
My pacing. But yeah, it was the content was harder. It didn't come as easily. It took me. I was behind in like I was constantly behind.
So. There is nothing wrong with that though, because it came out fantastic. Fantastic.
I do love it.
Exactly.
I do love the final product. So
Me
that's
too.
good. But it was stressful.
No.
Damn it, Jesse.
So who's your favorite character that you've written so far?
This is like, I love all my female characters. I just really do. I feel like I write my books, my heroines are my heroes, if that makes sense. You know, like we're like, oh, the hero, but like my books are for my heroines.
Yeah.
But like, I just really love June. Like, I want to write a June book later. Like,
yes.
She needs a book. I would love that. She was just so mature for her age. I was like, it's crazy that she's just 8 because like she just I loved her.
Her
superpower. That lifestyle, man, like the shit that she had to see growing up made her mature fast. But no, I think June is probably my favorite. But I love Bailey because she was so easy because she just she's like my snarky Taurus side.
Yeah.
Like I just wrote my Taurus moon into a character. Yeah. That was easy, you know? And I love Jocelyn because I think she has the best growth of all the characters that I've written. Just like her transformation is the best. Mm-hmm. But like June is the one that I'm like with Bailey and with all these other characters. I'm like, I'm content with them being in their book and being where they are and being done. But with June, I'm like, I want to carry her with me for a little bit more.
Yes.
And like, I feel like I need to do something else with her.
A book. Give her a book.
A second gen. I would love a second gen.
I love second gen. Yeah.
A little June bug.
Honestly, in June too, because if you give June, you got to give June a book. So.
Oh yeah.
Could you
I'm gonna push you for second gen. I'm a sucker for second gen. Like you don't mention that, so now I'm gonna hold you accountable.
Well, like somebody asked me if I was gonna do a second gen and if it was gonna be June and Cole. You know, Cole, like the girls can't be nice.
Enemies to lovers right there.
Yeah.
That's
like, are you setting this up? And I was like, I wasn't, but
right.
Maybe.
It's not a bad idea.
That is a fantastic fucking idea.
Exactly. And enemies to lovers, like you already got your trope right there.
I look at enemies to lovers. They're 8 years old and they don't get along. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh. And it's like a childhood enemies thing. Like
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're secretly in love.
Yeah.
There are 9 billion guys out there. He's nothing special.
That's right. Yeah. He's not special.
Maybe one of them moves away, then they meet up again later in life. They're just living their best life, but yeah.
Yes.
I feel like I need to incorporate soccer somewhere. Ooh. Like maybe I don't know.
Kelly can be her coach. Like maybe she goes to like play on the US soccer team.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I do love a good sports romance where it's the girl that's in the sport.
Yeah. Me too. Like oh my gosh.
Yes.
I love it.
So I have a question. Do you have a spicy book recommendation?
Of like super spice?
Well, I mean, you can vary it.
Yeah, if you got like levels to it, you can drop one in each level.
Yeah, this is talk spicy to me.
So
let me get my notes ready real quick.
I just read Praise by Sarah Kate.
Oh yeah,
have you guys read that?
Yeah,
with the praise kink. I liked that.
I listened to the audio.
I also let me think. I just read Praise by Sarah Kate, and that was pretty spicy. So I don't know if this is like a super spicy book or not, but have you guys ever read The Fall Before Flight by L.M. Halloran?
No, but I've heard of that book.
It is a patient therapist. It's very good. But there's one scene that I've reread this book probably 3 times. I love it. But there's one, and it's not like extremely spicy. It's like moderate spice. I would say it's at similar spice level to mine, you know? But there's a scene that happens in a hot spring in the middle of a desert that I like, and I've gone back and reread it several times. Like, it's not even like it's like over the top explicit or anything, but there's something about it that just hits.
Nice. It just like lives rent free in your brain.
It does. It does. The Fall Before Flight by L.M. Halloran. It's very good.
Now, when you say moderate spice to your books, I'm just like, you know, each of your books gets a little bit spicier, and nothing feels better. You had breath play and you had booty scenes. So I'm just like,
I wasn't gonna put the booty scene on the page, but like Bree was like,
"Good job,
you can't
Bree.
Just drop this and run." Like,
yeah. Bree is all about the butt stuff. Let's just
she is.
She is all about the butt stuff.
I was just like, this is a missed opportunity because you have it, we want it, so give it to us.
I think part of it was just confidence. Was like,
oh, I was really confident that it was good.
Right in there. Yeah, I would consider like, I don't know. I guess maybe Better With You. Like, it's like on par with Better With You spice level. I'm so bad with the chili pepper ratings. I'm like no good at it.
You know what's funny though?
That way too.
Better With You, I feel like was delicious, but in the sense because of the cupcakes. Like, I went on like 2-3 weeks after I finished beta reading that, I just had cupcakes galore. I was like, I can't stop eating cupcakes.
Well, I wanted to go and bake cupcakes, and I don't even like to cook, and I wanted to bake cupcakes after I read that book.
Confetti cupcakes. Oh, that's what it was.
Yes,
because it's like playful.
Yeah,
but yeah. And then. You guys want to know my favorite stepbrother romance?
Yeah.
Yes.
Stepbrother is my favorite trope, right? It's my favorite trope to read.
So good.
Step Dork by A.E. Murphy. Have you read that?
No. What is it,
I read Vicious by A.E.
Murphy. It is so good. She's the one that wrote Naked or Dead. Naked or Dead is also very good. But Step Dork is like my favorite stepbrother.
Let me see.
So, yeah.
How have I never heard of any of these books or authors? Like, what am I doing? Am I
now A.E. Murphy? I've heard of her.
Yeah,
A.E. Murphy.
Vicious.
After I read Bree, you need to read Naked or Dead. You would love Naked or Dead. All of you, this is your homework. Read Naked or Dead.
Okay.
I feel like somebody told me about Naked or Dead.
I feel like I don't read books. Like this list, I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing here?
I know, like throw out my Goodreads.
But I never read anything. Everybody's always talking about, like, there are so many authors that I have not read that are like fabulous, phenomenal, everyone loves. And I've never read them.
Yeah.
I haven't read Sophie Lark yet. I haven't read Corinne Michaels. I haven't read Aurora Rose Reynolds.
It depends on what you like too, because like all of them you just named, they all do different kind of
very
stuff.
Different things.
Corinne Michaels is very angsty, very emotional. Granted, I am a sap, so I have to give people a disclaimer that me saying I cried over a book is like, it's not anything new. Now, if I tell you I ugly face boo hoo cried, then you can be like, oh, okay, this one might really break my heart, because honestly, I will cry at whatever.
I have only cried for 3. I have only cried.
But yeah, Cora Michaels will like break your heart. AC, she'll put it back together, but she'll break you down real good before you get there. Who else did you name? Sophie Lark. I only read one book by Sophie Lark, and I did like it. And I would go back and read more of her. And it was like Mafia. I think she does like kind of like Mafia.
I think she only really does Mafia.
Yeah.
Except for the serial killer one. That one wasn't Mafia.
And then Bree has me into Aurora now because what's the first? I'm so bad with names, but I just finished my first book by her.
You read Rushed and then Risky.
Rushed. All the R's keep rolling.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Risky came out a day after mine, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because they're both single mom.
Yeah, I put it on my TikTok and somebody commented. They were like, wow, I love the single mom Rex. I'm like, this is not normal for me, but they're both really good.
Yeah. I love them. So anytime you say single parent, I'm like, yes.
Her covers are gorgeous.
So
they are.
Those 2 covers that you...
So pretty.
Yeah.
I think for spicy, like, there's definitely levels to it. So like you had mentioned Praise, and then Sarah and Rachel write together a lot. And they wrote 5. Well, they wrote 4 and then they wrote 5. Fist in it.
But that like, okay, that and plus like, you know, any books where you read where it's like 2 dicks, 1 hole.
Yeah. I feel like that automatically just gets a start. Like, just shoots it up the scale.
But it like I read that and like I like have to like tighten my thighs and not in a good way, because I'm like, that sounds like it would hurt. Like,
it does. It's like, yeah, this sounds painful.
Well, and I'm one of those readers where it's like they describe the sex scenes and I picture it in my head.
I actually have to Google.
So like if limbs are not accounted for, then I get confused.
Trying to think. Yeah. I don't know if it was Hijinks Harem or
it was. I think it was. You told me.
Yeah.
And I had to Google because it was 2 in the front and 1 in the back. I came home. I went to my husband. I was like, when I die, I need you to delete my Google history, because I had to look up the porn to figure out
how does that work.
Where the guys are like sandwiched together, and I was like, who is that long? First of all, okay.
So it's like DP in the front and then just 1 in the back.
That's like really snug.
That's really snug. And then like, how do you move? Like, there's no. How do you thrust?
I guess the back's doing all the work.
Like a little bit of wiggles.
So I sat there and I had to Google it, and then I'm watching it, and I was like, look at this, and he's like, I don't need to see that.
There's an example.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You can find examples of anything.
Yeah. Just like that. Yeah. And I'm like, that's first of all, that's too much work for an O. I'm sorry, I can get my own orgasms in 3 seconds flat. I don't need all that.
Without having to worry about being torn open.
Of all.
So
that's where my brain goes. I'm like,
I birthed a child. I know it stretches. It don't need to stretch for fun. Just but I'll read it and I'm like, okay, that's hot, badass bitch. Not me, but you.
You know what else? So here's something that I like. For some reason, I like spitting, but like not like, you know how like
context,
not like spitting from my mouth into your mouth. That's a thing apparently. Like
it is, and I'm just like, I can't get with it.
But like spitting,
yes, spitting on her.
Yes, yeah.
I like that. I think it's hot. One of my beta readers was like, why did he spit? I'm like, why didn't he? Like, why wouldn't he? Like, I'm not taking this out. Like, I love
it. Was
I liked it. Yeah.
And then like, there was something else.
The spit in the mouth, no, but the other spit, yes.
The other spit, I'm
I was just like, wow, okay.
Yeah. It's good.
I'm trying to think like, I read it was a dark romance. I think it was Chantal Tessier's The Ritual.
I want to read that.
Oh my gosh. Me too. I saw somebody on Book Talk just had like a 25-person buddy book read over that book.
Oh, really?
Okay, that's exciting. Yeah. I can't commit to something like that.
That's a huge group.
There was a lot of like, I don't want to tell it because if you're going to read it, I don't want to say it. But there's like, I'm just going to say,
I don't believe in spoilers, but
and then after you read it, your keyword is slobber. And after you read it, come back and talk to me.
Is that like my mind
voice?
Like,
I can't tell you.
I'm like over here looking like, is it in audio?
Slobber. Yeah.
What a word.
How do you do the sliding scale of spice though?
Honestly, for me,
like, how does that?
If it's a fist, if it's 2 in 1, or multiple, if you run out of orifices and hands, it's just like, there are so many body parts to fit into one person. Spicy. That's just spicy. Because it's great to read on paper. Lord help me, I'd run in the opposite direction. Like, look, there's just too many of you, and nope, go away.
What would you
love reading a good menage scene.
Yeah.
I love reading a good menage scene. But like having to do that all the time, like in your personal life, I just feel like it would be exhausting.
I'd be
you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, have you seen those reverse harem TikToks, like reverse harems in real life, where it's like they wake up afterwards in the morning and they're like, oh, it's a hot breath, and they turn around like, oh, more hot breath. They just like crawl out of bed.
It sounds so sexy in the books, but it's like in real life, like imagine how much work that is to maintain.
Oh my gosh.
I don't like sharing my space. So it'd be like if that were me and my harem would have to sleep in a different room. Like, you come in, we will do the do, and then you go to your own room and let me starfish on my bed.
Like, don't touch me. Like, I will cuddle for like 3 minutes, and then after that, I'm like, okay.
But like, imagine if you had to cuddle with like 4 people.
I hate sweat.
Not a bed big enough.
Oh, I don't like to wake up hot.
Me either.
I feel like though also, like nothing feels better. I feel like I would have probably rated like 4 peppers, but that's also because Jesse had dirty talk. So like that brought it up.
Dirty talk, like the right kind of dirty talk. You get your own star just for that. Like your own pepper just for that. So yeah.
I do feel like that's one thing that I was kind of proud of in this book and the last books though, is like I do like a filthy mouth hero. Yes. I feel like that's something I've been, but like with Jesse, look, let me tell you something. For Love You Better, even before I knew fully what Jesse's story was going to be, I knew that I was going to have him drop the C word. Like, I was like ready for it. Jesse uses the C word. Like, I just knew. So there you go. Jesse uses the C word.
That's my favorite.
That was like the first thing I knew about him, besides the fact that he admitted
because of me.
Yeah, we have to have an E on our content.
Right.
That's my bad, because I have a sailor dialect with a construction accent. That's my bad. That's okay. I like that. It adds flavor. It's cool.
Yeah. Flavor.
The C word is my favorite C word.
What is a trope that you have not written that you would like to write?
Stepbrother, definitely. Stepbrother.
So that's not your duet? Your duet's brother's best friend? Or is it also
my
best friend's brother?
My duet is best friend's brother.
I'm just trying to get all the info out.
Yeah, right.
I know, because she said Talia's story. Ever since you said Talia's story is risky, I'm running through my mind the different tropes that her story could be.
Well, it's unfortunate. This is probably going to tell you. It's unfortunate that it is risky. It is not risky for me, but market-wise, it is risky. So it's like, it's something that statistically and like money, like numbers-wise, just doesn't sell as well. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So it probably tells you right there. And so when I say risky, I mean risky in that way.
Okay.
And I've listened to like numerous, like one of my things that I do is I'll like listen to free seminars and like podcasts and stuff of like authors talking. And like one of the things is like that they'll say is like, if they deviate from what they normally write, their sales will take a big hit. and it takes a while to get those readers back, because it's like you have your favorite authors because you trust them and you know what you're going to get from them, right? Like you go to this author because you know that you're going to get angst and steam and you're going to sob. You go to this author because you know it's going to be like fisting and you know what I mean? Like you have your authors, and it's like if you deviate too far from that, like you risk losing readers, and then it'll take them a while to come back to you.
It's almost like being
which was
typecasted.
such a bummer. Say what?
It's almost like being typecasted, because
it kind of is. And so, like in a way, I was like, well, I'm already deviating from that with this next book. It's different. It's different from the Better Love series. But I need to like build up my courage to write Talia's story. Because I know I'm prepared to know that like anybody that reads me or any readers that I, you know, my like readership or whatever, there's a chance it'll take a hit because of it. You know what I mean? And that's something that I think mentally I need to be prepared about, because otherwise I'll be like so offended. Like, what? This is such a good book. Like, why
don't you like it?
But you know what? I'm one of those readers where I get like, I know like authors, like eventually you want to venture out to do different things. Like know, you know, you mentioned how you look at the seminars and things like that. But I feel like especially if I've already, for me as a reader, kind of built up, like, okay, I already love like everything they've written. Oh, they want to do something new? Okay, come on, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and that's how I am too. But I feel like from what I've heard, we are not the majority.
We're definitely not, unfortunately.
You know what I mean? Not everybody is adventurous of readers as we are, I think. And like I said, it's not so much that I'm not necessarily like, I'm not so afraid to do it that I'm not going to do it. I just need to like build up to it. And you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, I will read anything, so it's fine.
Yeah. Right. I'm ready for it. Like,
I
feel like it's for you to say that it probably is something that doesn't like statistically sell. I feel like it's probably going to be something I like. So
yeah. Well, see, I'm like excited about it. I'm like, this is what I want, but like I know that it's gonna take a dip, so I'm pushing her back. Plus, like it's much more complex. Like I have a really good idea of where I want to go with it already, but it's gonna take more finesse to like make it worth reading. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm trying to like without giving anything away. I know I'm probably speaking in like code cryptic, over here.
Yeah, making me want it more. I'm like, tell me offline what it is.
I'm excited for it. I will tell you, we all know she's a dancer. And I will tell you that I just had to have knee surgery for an ACL repair. So I'm incorporating that in there.
I have had 3 of those.
And that's all I'll tell you about her.
I have had 3 of those knee surgeries. There's a cadaver holding my leg together, and whoever had it before me, Olympian, hands down.
Oh yeah,
because
I've had my ACL repaired in both knees now, but they've always used a graft.
Oh,
patellar
yeah,
tendon, and
they used that for my first one, and I ripped through that like confetti. So, I have PTSD, and I'm just like, no. I'm waiting for.
It's like that is a terrible pain. It's terrible.
I literally like I can't watch the Olympics, and when like football players have them on the field, like the brace on the field, because the second time I tore it was in that brace, so like I can't even watch. I'm just like PTSD. I automatically like blank it out of my head. I'm like,
Well, maybe you shouldn't read Talia's book.
I'll read it. It's fine. It's fine.
I'll tell you what chapter it happens in. You can just skip it.
Got it.
You could make up for it.
I don't need to read it on the book. I don't need to read it on the page. I know exactly how it happens.
I know exactly how that feels. Where you're like your thigh hits the floor, right? That's how that happens.
Heather's just like, you can make up for it. Just give me a fist.
No,
I'll give you a foot. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think I've read that.
What about footing?
That's an interesting piece there.
With a shoe. No.
No, please, no. All right.
I'm kidding.
So,
Brit, what's your favorite thing to do when you're not writing?
Reading. Ugh, I'm so boring. You guys know. It's books and books and more books.
That is us.
And then sometimes I'll watch Netflix. Like I really am. This is something I wrote a line in there for Jocelyn that I had literally just said to someone else. I was like, oh shit, that's a Jocelyn line. Where I was like, there's literally nothing remarkable about me. Like I'm so average. Like I'm like, there's literally like nothing remarkable. Like I'm the most average person. Like what do? Oh, I like read books and I don't like to leave my couch.
The worst,
you know,
alive.
All right, do you have any talents? No. Like, not really.
But the worst is when someone non-bookish, like, asks you that in, like, an icebreaker setting, and you're like, I can't even talk about books. Like, I really do nothing.
Yeah, like,
that's all I know. That's all I know. Like, what are you good at? I can craft a mean sentence. I know my adjectives. You know?
English language is my jam.
I know my parts of speech. Like, nobody cares. Can you paint? No. Can you play piano? No. Can you sing? No.
I can't hold a tune.
Can you do anything? No.
I can read, and I keep the tiny humans alive, and that's
that is enough. Yeah. That is enough. Yeah. So yeah, that's all. I don't really. One day I'll travel
when the kids are old enough to function by themselves.
I'll just dump them on Jonathan's parents.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah, I don't know. I like to read and write, and I'll fall down the hole of like random news rabbit holes where I like read different news articles about the same topic. I'll like waste like hours reading the same about the same thing, but like 12 different news articles from 12 different news sources. I don't even know why. I wasn't even interested in it. It was like a clickbait thing, and then I like focused.
Now you know.
That's honestly the worst. Like you're reading, then it's another that's like continue, then get to that page, and it's something else. I have been there.
Yeah,
you're their audience.
It's really
exactly.
They get me every time.
I'm the one who's making them all their money.
You click on one of them, and then it's like full of ads, and it's the thing that you have to like the slideshow thing.
Those are the worst, know more about this, I can't not slide over.
I know. And then you would fight with the webpage for like ever.
Oh, because it doesn't want to load.
Meanwhile, it's already getting all of your information because it's not loading.
I know. Yeah. And then it knows to send us again because we're the idiots that keep clicking through them. Like, we'll get them.
Exactly. They're not going to get much from me, so they're going to be disappointed. They may actually give me something, so.
Yeah, right? All right.
I tried to knit for this book.
I want to see photos of this.
I can crochet.
Of me trying to knit.
I can't knit. I mean, like, I can knit. It just doesn't look good. But
I found somebody on Instagram who does crochet dolls. Her wait list is 3 years.
Wait, you should, you should reach out to our friends. You should totally reach out to them, Courtney and Christina.
They made Jacob with blue balls.
I want a slipper dick. And I was like, a bookstagrammer was like, contact my friend. So I did. And she was like, my wait list is 3 years long.
That is crazy.
Oh my God.
Remember, years? Like, add me to your list. But like when you call me,
I'm gonna forget what the hell I wanted.
Email me 3 years later. I'm like, who are you and what do you want?
Right.
Like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna remember this.
No,
we'll send you their information after this. But Courtney and Christina,
I do.
They can definitely make that happen for you.
I love it.
So exciting, so exciting. Get to that one. You kind of answered the last one, but there is this one final question. What's the hardest part of authoring for you?
Well, I think just logistically, it's just finding time to write when I'm not, like getting into it and being able to find that time to write. It's very hard for me. I'm a rereader. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'll write and write and write and write. But then when I sit down to start writing again, I have to reread what I wrote. So like these books I've read probably 100 times because I can't start writing again before I reread. And then if there are a couple days or something in between when I wrote a scene and when I come back to it, it's terrible. So just like logistically speaking, like just finding time to get it done. Mm-hmm. But then I always heard authors say this and I never quite got it, but it's like, just kind of like keeping your characters in line, cause like they really do. Like I used to hear people say this and I was like, haha, that's so funny. They go rogue. Like they really do. And then it's like with Jesse, it was so hard because it's like, anytime I'd have to write his his point of view, like his chapter, he'd be like over here fucking around, and I'm like, you need to focus. I need to know what's going on in this scene. And it was like, it was hard. Like that part is hard. I feel like as far as ideas go, I get them so randomly. Like I'll have to like pull over and use my voice notes app, or sometimes I'll be like in the shower and I'll like have to get out and like send myself a text, because like, you know, you get these thoughts, but like if I don't write them down, then it's like that could potentially be a bestseller someday, you know.
And it's gone.
Yeah, I text myself all my ideas.
Yeah,
you kind of have to. Like it's
the best way to keep it down. But yeah, and then I think the whole, like, I don't know if this will go away. It probably won't. But just the, like, idea of putting, like, you're essentially bleeding onto this paper. Like, by the time I'm done with these books, like, these are my babies, you know? Like, I know them inside and out. I know them so intimately. You know, just talking about certain things about these characters makes me want to cry, because it's like they're real people to me now. And then I have to put it in this book and then present it to the general public and be like, ta-da, like, rip into them, you know? Like, let me hear how much you hate them. Like, you know what I mean? And that's hard because I think that just that vulnerability aspect of it. And I feel like maybe it'll get better as I get more books in and I'm just kind of like more used to it. But also maybe not, because I'm just very protective and loyal.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I feel like that's a good point you made, because I see where some authors who've been writing for a long time, I don't think that's a feeling that goes away, honestly. And it's because of the reason you said. You put so much into these people who, you know, they feel they're real to you. And so every time it's the same thing. You're presenting it to the world, and like readers can be so fickle. Like they can love this one book and then completely hate this other book. So every time it's like you're putting yourself out there. So I think it maybe get easier.
And that's another reason why I think. Well, I think that's another reason why it's like I'm like putting Talia's story so late in the game, is because I know I'm going to love it, but I'm also prepared for like backlash, and I need to be like emotional. I have to like fortify myself emotionally to be prepared for that, because I know it's coming, you know? And I'm just like, I just love them. Like, and it's so funny now, because now it's like I've got these like extra people living in my head. Like I'll sit there and be like, oh, that's something Jesse would say. Or, oh, like Bailey would totally do that. Or this is a text exchange that would happen between Bailey and Ivy. Like this weird, dumb shit that's like stuck in my brain now.
I love it.
Same.
I know.
All right.
But yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still, you know, very green. And I feel like I'm just kind of making mistakes.
I think you're doing.
I'm just so new. Like I'm thinking everything's guys. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, this is only your
I'm
third
very
book,
lucky that like,
and it was
amazing,
fucking tastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am very proud of it. I do love it very much.
Yeah,
so
pat yourself on the back.
I did.
Exactly.
So I was going through reviews, like make review posts. This is one thing I wish I had, like someday if I make enough money, I'm going to hire a PA to do this, because I just am not strong enough to do it. But I was going through reviews to like make review posts, you know, like for marketing and for whatever. And I came across a review that was like something about how she, like the dialogue was cringy and she hated the cover. This is an ugly cover, but don't let it fool you, because the book is actually pretty good. And I was like, what do you mean my cover's ugly? Like,
did she look at the same cover as the rest of us?
Right.
She did not like it. She did not like it. But she did say, don't be fooled, though, because the book is pretty okay.
What? That is not a compliment sandwich. That's an insult sandwich.
Right.
But I felt like, I don't know, there was something about the review that made me feel like from this person it probably was a compliment, you know?
See, I have a Heather comment, and that's not a pretty comment, so.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have read that one. Bummer. But it's okay. I'm better for it.
Nothing feels better.
I'm reading mean reviews. Yeah.
You guys have anything else that you wanted to ask?
Not online. I'm gonna go harass and try to get more about Talia. So.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. It was honestly the best hour ever, and I absolutely love Jessie.
I bet you say that to all the girlies.
No, not at all.
Yay.
No.
The face.
Because I gave you a foot.
I was gonna say, yeah, Heather is like, you have to watch her face.
Right. Her face is gonna say it before her mouth does.
And, my face tells people to fuck off way more than anything else. So I absolutely loved it. I love your writing completely, and I absolutely love talking with you, and I'm sure that they did too.
Yeah.
Thanks. I had a blast. You guys are so fun.
Yay!
Thanks for having me.
Our best time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.